Welcome everyone to IEEE Education Week 2024. This particular session of our Education Week activities regards the IEEE Teaching Excellence Hub. This is a resource that is sponsored by the IEEE Education Society and IEEE Educational Activities. So we hope you're enjoying all of the sessions that we have, and certainly hope that you will enjoy learning about the Teaching Excellence Hub, or TEH, that we'll be talking about today in this particular program. My name is Steve Watkins. I am currently the co-chair of the Teaching Excellence Hub, the editorial board for this particular group. My day job is professor at Missouri University of Science and Technology. I've been involved with the Teaching Excellence Hub activity since its founding, and I think we have some nice things to offer to you. There at the bottom of the screen, you'll see what the website is. It's teaching@IEEE.org. This is a resource that we have that's freely available to anyone that wants to view it, whether they're an IEEE member or not. So we're going to be talking a little bit about it today so that you can learn how to participate, whether it's as a viewer, whether it's as a contributor or a volunteer. This Teaching Excellence Hub website is, we call it the TEH, again, is a collaboration between the Education Society and Educational Activities. We're providing as a service to the larger engineering education community. In this particular session, we're going to be talking a little bit about the scope of the TEH, what we hope to accomplish with it, how it's developed over time, and so forth. We'll talk a little bit about writing for the TEH, because we certainly hope to encourage some of you out there to contribute with your insights and your educational experiences. And then I have a list of some questions that commonly come up, and if we have time, we might be able to respond to some questions in the chat. So if you do have questions that you would like to see addressed, please place them in the chat, and hopefully we'll answer them, or we'll get to them at some point during the session. So first, scope. The Teaching Excellence Hub, as I mentioned, was launched fairly recently. It was begun in spring of 2021. As you know, this was at the end of our COVID experience. So at that time, we were really looking for anything we could do to assist the professional development of the engineering education community. And this particular site is continuing because we saw value in it as a professional development support. And our target audience for the Teaching Excellence Hub is those people that are teaching both engineering and computing as well as technology. So we're calling this ECT at the university level. And our intent with the hub is to have an open access clearinghouse for information that will help all these educators and the larger community gain additional skills and knowledge that they could use to enhance their ability as educators. We want them to be effective in the classroom, and we want to share our experiences across the board and have it complement other resources that we have and other opportunities we have, be it journals or conferences or so forth. We really want this to be a complement for that. So it's not a replacement for journals, it's not a replacement for a conference, but it's really kind of targeting something in between for that. And our emphasis has been and continues to be on providing information and resources about things such as current developments in engineering education, perhaps best practices in engineering education, and events that relate to this. We want to have a place that will not only list the Education Society events, but also list events that educational activities might have, or other educational components of IEEE units, or other units, or other organizations that might be out there that are interested in engineering education. We really want this to be a community site for what we do. One thing we were particularly interested in is, we have a lot of teaching faculty out there that maybe they're doing things that are really good, that not necessarily would be at the level that you would put into a journal paper or an archival paper. Maybe the assessment isn't there, or it's just simply a good practice or something successful they've tried in the classroom. We wanted to give them an opportunity to be able to share that, and that's part of what this site is about. So what is the content for the Teaching Excellence Hub? So our main content is short articles. We wanted to create an opportunity for people to share nuggets of information and that could be easily read, quickly read, so that people can keep up to date with what's going on. We also wanted to have resources that are available both through Education Society, educational activities, and across IEEE that people could use, so they could have a place they could go and maybe find things that might be hard to find otherwise. As in addition to that, we wanted events. So if we have webinars or seminars or various programs, we wanted to have a place where we could post those as well, so that we can really aid the professional development of our ECT educators. Again, our emphasis was on current developments in education, best practices, and an overview of maybe practical innovations or experiences people have had in the classroom. Much of our content in the TEH has been made available to date from our experts and volunteers in the IEEE Education Society and the IEEE Educational Activities. These are the groups that host the site, but we're certainly not limiting the content to those, and we have content from a wide variety of sources already. And we want to encourage perhaps our listeners here to consider perhaps sharing things that you have access to, or that you would wish to write, that you would like to share to this larger community of educators. So again, whether you're simply an ETC educator, whether you're from another IEEE unit, or even from organizations outside of IEEE, we certainly welcome your contributions to this particular resource. So the content we have, as I mentioned, the main content are short original articles. We also have a resources section and an events section. You see on the screen a figure of our website as it looks. You might even take a look at it on your computer as well while we're talking through this thing, this session. So we have articles, we have the topical aspects of the articles, we have events, resources, and then we have contact and submission options for you there as well. Again, it's hosted by Educational Activities and the Education Society, and it is curated by an editorial board made up of members from these two groups of IEEE. And we have sought to make sure we have representation that is of a global nature. We wanted to certainly reflect what's going on across the globe, not just what's in the US or not in any particular region of IEEE. So this is how the site is managed, again, through volunteers from Education Society and Educational Activities, and they do the reviews and the curation of the material. So what we have there, we think, is really good and really useful from a professional development point of view. So what are some example articles in the TEH, just to give you a flavor of some of the types of things that we have been publishing. So one article here is Demystifying Compliance with ABET Criteria 4. So this particular article has to do with ABET and really providing some discussion about how an educator and administrator might address ABET Criteria 4 as they're going up for review. Here we have the topical areas that this particular article would fit under. Second article we have here is MUD, or MUD cards, is an active learning tool. This is an experience that some members have had, and they wanted to share it. And this is an active learning tool, an active learning approach that they're describing that they've used in their classroom. Another article has to do with a committee of IEEE educational activities, and that is EPICS and IEEE. This is where students have an opportunity to do service project learning. And this describes how you might do something like that. So describes some of the opportunities there, how the EPICS and IEEE works, and how you might engage in that. And this would be under the topical area of project-based learning. We have another one, which is tenure track, making a case as a candidate. This was under the topic of career development. For this particular one, it actually gives a summary of a seminar or webinar that we put on in the past. So it's something we documented in print through the website that would complement and would point to that particular webinar. So someone could read this and then maybe see if they wanted to do the on-demand webinar for that. So this simply gives a selection, gives an overview of some of the types of articles you have. So it's pretty broad, but you see how each of these areas could be a very useful professional development tool for an educator in this education, engineering, computing, and technology area. So here's what the website looks like again. So we have our menu at the top. After our description of what the site's about and who we have in terms of our editorial board, we have the articles. And this is the short articles that we have selected and approved for posting on this website. So this is where they are. You can freely view those. You don't have to be an IEEE member. It is an open access site. So again, we're serving the larger community. These articles are arranged by topics, and we have a list of 23 topics with descriptions, because I know sometimes wording can change a little bit as you go to different locations across the globe. So we've defined our topics in a way that we know how they're going to be used on this particular site. This, I think, will also help our writers as they are thinking about how they're going to frame anything they might like to contribute. The next area here is a list of events and links for things that are coming up. Many of these are webinar type events or perhaps presentations that are occurring that are put on by Education Society, educational activities, or other units of IEEE. Many of these are upcoming, so you can see what's coming up, but also after they have been presented, many of these are available on demand. So we try to put free events that, again, members and viewers can come in and view and find, that will help their professional development. And finally, we have a collection of resources. This is a curated collection of things that, again, could be helpful. Most of these are going to be external links that we have that we're not hosting these materials, but we're certainly pointing to them so people can find them and hopefully make a good advantage of them as they are pursuing their professional development. Here's an example of what an article would look like. Obviously, article's a little longer than the 3 lines at the bottom there, but it gives you an idea of what the page would look like. This is a Preparing for Snow Days and Other Disruptions. This is an article by Teresa Swift at my institution. She put it in there because she has had this experience in class and she's describing how she handles it. This is a short article, again, one that could be read in just a few minutes. It's under the categories of blended classroom learning and time management. And it's, again, what you would see if you went on the site and looked at the articles. One thing I will point out is on the right-hand side, the lower right-hand of the screen, we also will list our articles on the site by which was most popular, which has had the most views, as well as what's the most recent posting. And there's a variety of ways you can search our articles, whether it's looking at this particular menu option, or perhaps putting it into the question search bar and find out things by keyword, find out things by topic, find out things by author, and otherwise. So these are all really good resources for us. Here is a listing of our current topical tags. So you see we have this list. We have each of our articles classified by what topic they fall under. So academic integrity is first on our alphabetic list. So this is talking about ethical behavior in an educational setting. So we have our definition there by what we mean by that. Many of our articles will touch on different topics. So we would have them listed by these topical tags and really aid in searching and in classifying what we have available, and people can find what they're interested in. So we really have a large range here from things involving accreditation, active learning, assessment. We have at the end time management. So we have a variety of things there, and hopefully we found things that here that would fit into what you're interested in as a viewer, and perhaps what you could contribute to as a potential author. This is our events page. This is, I mentioned, where we have a listing of maybe conferences that are coming up, webinars that are coming up, or other events of an educational nature. Again, that would be of interest to those teaching engineering, computer science, and technology at the university level. A number of things here have been made available through our Education Society or educational activities, but we also have those from external groups as well. Many of these, after the event has been held, they're available on demand. So, and you see an example of one that we had last fall in our Pathways to Academia program. This was a joint effort between Ed Nu and the Education Society and Educational Activities. And this was one where we're really addressing those people that are entering an academic career and providing them some insight. This is a whole series. This is simply one in the series. And you have an opportunity here through the links on our events page is to go and view this on demand as well. So it really does give you a wide variety of things where you can get some training, and it's something that will be of interest, I think, from everyone that's starting an academic career to those that are more experienced in their academic life. Here's some selections from our resource page to give you an idea of some of the things that are there. You see that at the top right, we have accreditation activities. These are some resources that are available again through educational activities regarding accreditation. So you can find out some of their things. We have a number of other things from educational activities such as standards, which would be located on our resources page. We have the practical tips there for teaching standards for professors. So again, this is in our standards category. We also have some resources from IBM that's been provided by this external group. So these are all areas that you will find in our resources page. And again, we're always looking for additional things that we could post here that would really be a benefit from a professional development point of view for our members and viewers. So now let's take a look at writing for the Teaching Excellence Hub. If you would wish to make a contribution, how would you go about doing that so that you could have a successful contribution and that it would be received well by our editorial board? So, and I guess I should answer the question before we talk about writing is why would you be interested? Well, apart from just sharing some of the successful experiences you had or successful tips, we do make these articles widely available. As we've already discussed, our site is open access so that anyone can have an opportunity to view the articles that are here. After a successful peer review process, the articles are accepted and posted immediately, so there's no wait time with that. We do have a goal of having the articles go through the review process in just a few weeks so that they are posted fairly soon. We do have a subscription service, so people that wish to subscribe to our TEH, they can get monthly announcements about new articles that have been posted. Also, these articles are many times featured on the social media of the Education Society and educational activities. So there's a number of ways that it can be posted and get your credit out there so that you can be recognized for some of the things you're contributing to the community. On the site, we try to make it where it's very easy for someone to find information about a particular topic. So you can search by date of posting, particularly if you want to find out what's recent. You can search by topical area. And again, we have our multitude of areas there that you can see what is grouped in the area that you have interest in. It can be searched by author. It can be searched by popularity and a number of things, including just keywords. If you wish to cite the articles, here's an example of one that I did not long ago talking about Ed Nu, another example of what we could put up there, how it is part of an institution and how it can contribute to student life. So these are all reasons that you might want to have your articles posted, and we certainly are hoping that many of you will consider writing for us and submitting some draft articles. So how do we go about the submission here? Well, obviously, it has to be something that contributes to our site. And to remind you, we don't want to be competing with our engineering education journals or our conferences. We're looking to provide an opportunity for publishing other information that complements and provide publishing opportunities that may not exist elsewhere. So we're certainly welcoming any content that could be used to improve educator effectiveness or the educational community. And in particular, we are interested in current developments in engineering education, tips that you might have for how to become a better teacher, perhaps classroom best practices that you've been implemented, innovative experiences that you've had. All of these will fall into the various topical categories that you saw earlier. Our articles do tend to be short. We want them to be something that our readers can view very quickly and not spend a lot of time. We want it to be appropriate for our global audience. So all of these are considerations that we have in what articles we accept and how we conduct our reviews. So the biggest thing is, again, it has to be related to one of our topical areas that would support instruction in engineering, computer science, and technology, again, at the university level. We are interested in things that are original. We don't want to simply be rehashing things that have been presented elsewhere. Although there are ways that you can put things together in a useful way that would be perhaps pointing to or using other materials. So we are interested in something that's original and something that's useful for our Teaching Excellence Hub audience. I know when I review articles, I'm always thinking, what could a reader take away from this article that they might be able to implement in their particular situation, perhaps in their classroom and in their administrative role or in their interaction with students? What could they actually implement? So we're looking for these topics that have a very practical interest to them. The submissions that we have, we've organized it so it's offered under a Creative Commons license. So this is one which would ensure that any author gets credit for what he's posting. You can, view, if you do online search for this Creative Commons, is a very useful sort of thing for our particular site, but that's the context that we're posting our text and our graphics under. So how would you go about submitting? Well, if you do have something ready that you've written up, we do need to note that it needs to fit into a certain topical area. It needs to have the right length. We're interested in articles that, again, are short, that are on the order of 500 to 1,000 words. This would not include any references or author biographies. This would be the article itself. So again, we want something that can be read fairly quickly and one that hopefully people can get a nugget of information that they can use out very rapidly. We are interested in Word or Google Doc files, but you can put in supporting graphics and references are certainly encouraged, and links as well. And we are publishing currently in the English language, so that is a limitation we have at the moment for things. Our goal for completing the review process once it's been submitted is 6 to 8 weeks. There could be a revision step in there, but for those articles that are reviewed and are okay in their present form or with minor revisions, could appear in that time frame. So this could be very nice. On our site, we do have, as I mentioned earlier, we have a menu item for making submissions. So it's simply be giving us your name, your contact information, putting in the type of resource you're submitting. We've talked mainly about articles, but if you are interested in putting in events or putting in other resources, we can certainly look at those as well. Any article we would want to be classified according to our topics. This will help us as we're doing the review process and assigning an appropriate reviewer for our article. So this is the approach we would take. You are open to contacting the staff or the volunteers involved with the site if you wish to discuss an idea you have for an article. That might be a successful way of framing what you want to submit so that your original submission might go a little bit better and a little bit quicker. So in preparing an article, again, keep in mind the length requirements. Typically, we're looking for something that has a very succinct message, perhaps just one message that you're trying to convey to the readers. It should have some utility for the reader. We aren't necessarily looking for opinions or critiques of things. Again, we're looking for something that can have a take-home message, something that our readers can actually use and employ in their teaching life. So to think about our audience, it's educators at the college level, so you can frame the wording and the message with that context. And again, you can look for the various related topical areas, and that would be something you would have to indicate in the submission process. Our audience is global, so keep that in mind, and note that we have it should have an organizational structure which should help the reader quickly understand the ideas, because we want people to be able to go through and gain information quickly from this particular site. We certainly encourage any supporting aspects to your article, such as figures, such as links, such as references. One interesting version of an article might be to give an overview survey of a particular area, showing different references that are out there where someone could learn more. And we'd certainly be open to something like that. So again, a variety of articles could be given, something along that line, or something along giving tips or current developments in the area. Here is a selected article. I wanted to pull one out that I thought was particularly good. This was one that was submitted last fall. We had a special day, the Teaching Excellence Hub Day, where we encouraged submissions, and we had a bit of a contest with that. And this is one of the ones that resulted. Oops, I went the wrong direction. This is one that resulted from our Teaching Excellence Hub Day, and that was posted here recently. This was from an author at Johns Hopkins University, and he was talking about on the use of high-frequency, low-stakes assessment for STEM undergraduate education. His particular topical assignment was in assessment techniques, curricular design, and educational research. And here I have the introduction for this. So he was looking at a particular method of assessment that he found very useful in his classroom. So he was describing how he framed it, how he implemented it in his class, as well as what he thought were the pluses and minuses of this particular implementation. In his structure, he had a very clear message that he introduced in the introduction. Then he had a structure where he went through the various pieces, essentially a paragraph on each of these areas. What are the benefits of this type of assessment? How did he implement it in his case? What concerns he had in terms of how it was received by the students and how valuable it was from a educational point of view, and then a summary. So a very short article, but one that really had a clear message and really got a point across. He also included some references, so people that were interested in doing a extended a literature search in this area could have a place to start. So this was, I think, a very successful article and is a very nice model for how one would put together an article in a very useful way. So let's talk about some common questions that one might have if you're considering being part of our community as a viewer and a contributor. So the first one, let me emphasize, do you need to be a member of IEEE or the Education Society to submit an article? No, you do not. We do not require membership in IEEE or in the particular society for you to be an author on our site. It's intended to serve the general educational community at the university level. And contributing and using the TH is free, so we certainly want to emphasize that. Another question, can I submit a draft article that's been presented elsewhere? Well, this is an area we'll have to say no on. We want our articles to be original, but as I mentioned earlier, you could have an article which really brings together a number of things. You're providing an overview and a survey of published material as a gateway for getting someone the right information where they can become more of an expert in a particular topic. That's certainly acceptable. Another question, who does the peer review for our articles? Well, as I mentioned, this site is hosted by the Educational Society and Educational Activities of IEEE, and we have volunteers on our editorial board from both of these communities. And this editorial board will do the reviews and will provide the peer review for this, whether it's articles or resources or otherwise, so that what you see on the site has been through an extensive review process, and in some cases has been revised to fit our particular site. So in terms of the rubric that we use, that's the next question. How are these draft articles reviewed? So the rubric that we use for this is, first of all, we need to look at the categories for the rubric. First one is simply guidelines. Have you met the length requirement? Have you met the originality requirement? Are you hitting those pieces that we have so it fits our site? Obviously, we're interested in the quality of organization and writing. So are you clear? And then we have the important point, is it appropriate for TEH? Does it really address one of our topics in a way that's going to be meaningful to our readers? And is the message clear and significant? And finally, what sort of supporting information do you have due to, sorry about that, due to figures, links, or references? So again, the succinct message, because it is a short article for our TEH audience, is particularly important here. So if you have content you think might fit, how do you really see if it's going to fit our TEH well? Well, I would direct you initially to our 23 topical areas and see if what you have, if you'd like to submit, falls into one or more of those areas. These topics, again, are defined on the site. We have some nice descriptions, definitions of those topics, and you would be identifying those topical tags in your submission so that we can make the appropriate reviewer selection, and also for an accepted article, provide the appropriate search categories when it's posted. We will certainly consider new topical areas if someone has a good idea, something you think we've missed, but this would be some guidance on how to fit into our site. So think about the audience, think about the topical areas. If someone has questions about us preparing a submission and they're not quite ready to submit, who do we contact? Well, we've got a contact page where you can put in a question to our page and we'll get back to you. Also, our editorial board and staff can be emailed. I've dealt with a number of authors where I've given them some guidance on how they might frame their particular topic and their content in a useful way so that what they write is really tailored to our particular site. So we certainly welcome those sorts of interactions with our potential authors. Well, let's talk about things besides articles. So another question could be, can education-related events and resources offered by other societies or other organizations be included in the TEH? And our answer here is certainly. While we don't host external content, if you have an event or you have a resource that you're associated with, we can certainly put a link if, after a review, as long as these are external open access content that we can direct our viewers to. We curate those links much in the same way as we do articles. We run it through our editorial board. So this is something we certainly encourage, and certainly something that we would like to have broad representation from the overall education community on what events and resources are out there that can be used across the board. Another question, are the articles and other content intended for new educators or experienced educators? Well, we are trying to serve all educators across the community. So as long as you're working at the university level, you're teaching in this engineering, computing, and technology space, we hope to have things that would be of interest to you in professional development. So whether you're someone that's just starting out as an educator and you're developing your techniques, or you want to add something as an experienced educator, we hope to have some resources here that will help you as you simply increase your teaching effectiveness across the board. So we welcome viewers from all different areas here and all different levels. So that gets us to the summary of the overview of our Teaching Excellence Hub. So what benefits do you have from participating in our community? How do you benefit? Well, first of all, visit our site and see what we have. Hopefully you'll subscribe to our mailing list so that you can be updated on any new content that we have, so you can view that if it's of interest to you. We hope that you can find content and resources that you can use in your professional development for enhancing your teaching activities. We also hope that you would even go further and perhaps contribute. We can get lots of great insight by sharing what has worked for us and even what hasn't worked for us. There's all opportunities for that. So think about something that you've done successfully, or something that you want to describe to the overall community. If you can write that up, we would certainly love to consider that. And along that line, if there are events and resources that are of interest to this community, we certainly welcome those as well. So what are the highlights of the hub? Well, we have curated articles, we have curated events, and we have curated resources that can help your professional development. Currently, we have 30 articles posted, and we certainly hope to increase that as we go into the future. And we do have a number of resources that I think are very valuable. I mentioned some of the standards resources and accreditation resources there. So I think we have some things that can really benefit you, and hopefully you can find those quite easily by visiting our site. Here again is some of the menu items that you have. We have as our principal menu item our articles. That's really our probably our biggest focus, but we're supporting that with the topics, with the events description, with the resources, and then again you can contact us with questions as well as make submissions online. So we've tried to make this very easy for you as we go along. Here is the content submission form. So it's very easy to do. We simply need your name, your contact information, a little bit of information about how you found out about us and what you're submitting, be it an article, an event, or a resource. There's in the middle, a way to subscribe so you can be on our mailing list. So we want you to become part of this community. Please subscribe and make our site successful, and consider submitting some of the things that you have access to, or some of your insights, some of your practical experience that can benefit the overall community. Here are some contact information for some of the key players in our Teaching Excellence Hub site. I am co-chair of the editorial board. Here you have my email. Tim Kurzwig, a volunteer in IEEE, is a co-chair with me. We have staff support from the educational activities side as well as Education Society. Here we list some contact information for those staff people that can support what we have going on here. So if you have a question, please don't hesitate to talk to us so that we can make you an active participant in our Teaching Excellence Hub community. At this point, I would see, do we have any questions in the chat here that we could take a look at? I'm not seeing any questions that we might have here. So what I might do now is turn it over to my colleague in the Educational Society, the Vice President of Educational Activities, and he will give you some of his insights and tell you about some of the other activities we have in the Education Society, as well as in Education Week. So Amadou, please take over.
Okay, thank you very much. And yes, I can.
Let me share again. Sorry, I lost it. Sorry for the technical difficulty there. Now we're set.
Okay, thank you very much for your great speech. No, I think myself, I am understanding how you are contributing to educational resources for IEEE and IEEE Education Society. Yes, I can see also that you put Merlot. Merlot also is a part of IEEE Education Society educational resources. They are partner with Merlot. That is a database also where we can get many information about teaching and teaching methods and teaching resources. And the second slide about the activities that we are, you have another slide?
Yes, there we go. Talking about
Okay.
some Education Week activities in our conferences.
Yeah, I had these. So we already started the activities of IEEE Education Society during this week in this framework of IEEE Education Week. We today we have the Teaching Excellence Hub session, and tomorrow will be also a panel with IEEE Transaction on Education, and learning technology editors in chief and associate editors. Please come and visit us. One information that we have also in this slide is about the IEEE Education Society flagship conferences. So we are inviting you to consult to see these conferences. and there also you have the opportunity to present your papers and come to the conference and network with us. So the last one, now the name is changed. It is DemoCon. That is replace the name instead of Learning with MOOCs. We have DemoCon. This is also a flagship conference for IEEE Education Society. So thank you very much for your presentation. But we are expecting also many other questions. Mine is about some about the product and the submission. You ask for links and references. Do you have also some possibility of submitting, for example, simulations or videos, pedagogical?
We are somewhat limited on what we can host by posting. But if you had a link to an external site that had some simulations, we could certainly do that. The article could describe what's available and how to use it and what context you would find it important. So all those could be part of that. Again, we probably wouldn't host the simulation itself, but we could certainly host a reference or a link to that simulation with a description through our articles, or perhaps in our resources page.
Okay, the other question is about the papers. So maybe you already said it. Students also are invited to submit some contributions.
Oh, certainly. Many of our students are beginning careers that are related to education, perhaps as graduate teaching assistants or things along this line. We would certainly welcome content from those students as well, and perhaps seeing some of the things they've worked in that context, giving their perspective because they're a part of our community. So beginning educators, certainly we welcome their participation.
Okay, I saw also that you have kind of metrics about the most popular papers download or something. That can be also an incentive for those who are presenting, submitting their papers, because it's not like a kind of that, for example, citations from IEEE Explorer or other, but if we can emphasize on the fact that one can say also that his paper was submitted to Teaching Excellence Hub is very popular, that can be also interesting for submitters.
Oh, certainly. Yeah, we can certainly have that information available. As you saw on the screen, we have the papers listed by which ones have been viewed most frequently, as well as the most recent ones. So all that's available. We don't have any particular award or other recognition, but many of our popular papers we do try to put on our social media to help broaden the exposure for the authors and the topic.
Thank you very much.
So I don't see any further questions in our chat. We certainly are glad that you joined us today and had a chance to learn a little bit more about the Teaching Excellence Hub and what the Education Society offers. We hope that you will become a participant with this. For our viewers, please contact us if you have other information or other questions that come up later. And again, we thank you for being part of Education Week, and hopefully you will enjoy the session tomorrow. And that concludes our presentation for the day. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much.